What is going on, gang? My name is Elijah Brown. If you're new here, I appreciate you joining in. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about alcohol and getting jacked. Is it possible to get jacked while still drinking every now and again, or should we just cut out alcohol altogether 100%? I'm going to start this conversation by talking about me going to Kentucky last weekend to celebrate one of my best friend's wedding. He got married, and love is amazing. So sometimes when we want to celebrate something that is amazing, we tend to add a couple of drinks in with it. Just enhances a good time. And this is what I did all last weekend. And I was talking to some of my friends who know me as the fit guy, who know me as a guy who's trying to optimize his health and be as jacked and superhero-like as possible. And I got a couple of questions asking me, Elijah, how do you drink? Do you still drink consistently? I mean, you look great, how are you balancing this thing? How are you staying in shape, while still drinking? And that led me to thinking, like, maybe I should clear up a couple of things, because although I do have a drink every now and again, I also put my health as number one, my physical fitness, my physical capabilities as number one above all else. So I figured I'd make a video explaining alcohol, some of the science behind, what it's doing to our body, how destructive it can be, but also how you can kind of incorporate this into your lifestyle and live a good life, you know what I mean? And not to say that you need alcohol to have a good life and to have fun, but I'm a guy in his 20s, and a lot of you guys are probably in your 20s as well, and you don't use alcohol to numb your pain. You simply use alcohol to enhance a good time that is already happening anyways. So I just want to break down how I look at alcohol, the science behind, what makes it so bad, and how we can kind of avoid some of the harsh effects that normally come along with alcohol. And look, I know there's a lot of people in the fitness industry who are hyper disciplined, ultra disciplined guys. You can find them all over. And don't get me wrong, I admire the David Goggins, the Jocko Willink, and some of these people who are just these people who are role models, and they preach the discipline, and you can't have this, cut out all vices. And I've went through phases where I have cut out alcohol completely. I've not drank for months, almost an entire year. And I've built a good physique doing this. And I've also had a subpar physique. Subpar health and subpar physical appearance and aesthetic while not drinking anything. However, on the flip side, I've also had periods of time where I've drank a ton of alcohol. Been a college frat boy who was going crazy, drinking alcohol 3-4 days a week, but still looked freaking lean and jacked. And this led me to wondering, how the heck does that even work? Is there something else at play? Is it the alcohol itself? Or is it the things that come along with alcohol that make your situation of drinking worse than it actually is? So in today's video, we're going to look at why alcohol hurts your progress. So some of the science behind alcohol and why it is so destructive to your health and your fitness level. We're going to look at my outlook on drinking. So I'm just going to give you a brief insight on what I think about alcohol and how it has had an impact on my life and kind of how I incorporate it into, my daily lifestyle. We're going to look at alcohol's toxic friends. So the things that come along with alcohol, things that typically are involved in conjunction with alcohol that may make it worse than alcohol really is, or may be one of the sole reasons why alcohol is so bad. We're going to talk about how to drink mindfully. So a bit of a protocol on how to incorporate this into your lifestyle. If you do care to drink, how to make it a part of your lifestyle without it being so destructive to you, and how to somewhat, maybe possibly build a freaking superhero or almost superhero-like physique while still having an occasional drink. And finally, I'm going to give you my final thoughts, some advice, some mindsets around alcohol that I've developed over the years. And so to begin, I want to talk about why alcohol harms your progress. The number one thing that I want to talk about is the fat loss, the effects it has on your fat loss. So fat loss actually pauses while the body is burning alcohol. So anytime you drink alcohol and your liver is trying to metabolize this alcohol, everything else in your body pauses. All the muscle you were going to build, all the fat you were going to lose is paused until your body gets rid of this toxin. So if you have these fat loss goals, you're trying to lose some weight, drinking alcohol is going to make everything that you have drank or eaten be metabolized or be converted into fat. So your body stores fat easier when you have alcohol present in the body. Muscle protein synthesis is going to decrease by anywhere between 20 and 30% when alcohol is present in the body. So when your body is trying to get rid of this alcohol, you're not building any muscle until your liver gets rid of this alcohol. You may be wondering what muscle protein synthesis is, and that's just the process that your body undergoes to put, or let's just say apply proteins and amino acids to the micro tears in your muscles. So this is the process your body undergoes to basically repair tissue and build new muscle tissue. Alcohol is going to lower your testosterone and your growth hormone, two things that you need, especially if you're a man. You need testosterone to just live. So there's a lot of other effects that come along with low testosterone that I'm not going to talk about. Of course, it makes your muscles smaller. It makes it harder to build muscle without testosterone and growth hormone, but it also causes some things that, we'll leave that for another video. But you want to have testosterone. Drinking alcohol is going to decrease your testosterone. Definitely when you drink excessively over long periods of time, multiple days in a row, after several months or just a long time period of drinking, the thing that's making you a man is going to start to diminish. And you don't want that. Alcohol raises your cortisol, which is a catabolic hormone that makes it very hard for your body to build muscle, burn fat, and sleep properly. So if you're trying to go to bed at night, your cortisol levels are high, you're going to have trouble going to bed. And if you do finally fall asleep, it's not going to be as deep. Your sleep is not going to be as deep and rejuvenating. And of course, this is going to harm your recovery. And when we get into sleep, this is one of the most important things, if not the most important process of rebuilding and repairing muscle tissue. The great workout you had, all the protein you've eaten, if you're not going to bed and getting, your 7 to 9 hours of sleep, depending on who you are, your age, whatever your sleep, your recommended sleep dose is. It's not a sleep video, so I'm not going to talk about that right now. But if you're not getting enough sleep, you're not giving your body the tools, the process, the time it needs to build the muscle and burn the fat to transform your body. All transformations are taking place in the recovery process when you are going to bed at night. So I actually ran a study on myself. I wear a sleep tracker, wear a watch that tracks my sleep. I don't really know how accurate it is, but I would like to believe it's pretty accurate. All the reviews said it was. So I'm going to believe that it was fairly accurate. If it is, the results I got were, now, I didn't go to any lab. I didn't get any tubes connected to me. I didn't have any stents in my heart and my brain while I ran this study. I just simply had this Garmin watch that has a sleep track on it. It tracks the stages of my sleep, light sleep, deep sleep, REM sleep, and awake. I guess that's not sleep. That's just being awake. But it tracks these different stages of sleep. And I took one night where I got not hammered, but I had a little bit of alcohol in my system. I went and I got a buzz. And I wanted to look at the differences between my sleep quality when I was drunk versus when I was sober. And what I found was that when I drink alcohol, I can sleep for 9 hours. In this particular night, and this has happened many times, but in this particular time where I was actually tracking this, I slept for 9 hours. Out of this 9 hours, only 45 minutes were of combined deep and REM sleep. And your deep and REM sleep stages that's when your body is resetting for the next day. It's when most of your brain is repairing. It's getting your body ready to go. It's repairing the muscle tissue. Most of your muscle tissue recovery process is taking place in the deep stages of sleep and the REM stages of sleep. So if you aren't getting sufficient REM and deep sleep, your body is not recovering properly. Yes, you can sleep for 9 hours, but if that 9 hours only has, 10% of that, if only 10% of that is, deep in REM sleep, you're not actually recovering. So on the contrary, I went and I tracked my sleep, which is normally, I track my sleep every day, but I don't typically look at it that closely. But on the days where I don't drink, I can sleep as little as 7 hours of sleep and still get 3 hours combined of deep and REM sleep. I may get an hour of deep sleep and an hour 30 or maybe 2 hours of REM sleep. And on the days where I'm sober and I only sleep 7 hours, I wake up feeling more recovered, more rejuvenated, more ready to rock and roll and tackle the day than with just 7 hours of sleep than I would with 9 hours of sleep with alcohol in my system. Are you kind of understanding what I'm saying now? So if you want to sleep, you want to recover, alcohol is not going to help. Even if you sleep for 12 hours, alcohol is going to be catastrophic to your sleep and recovery process. Now, I could go on and on and on about the effects of sleep and the effects of alcohol, how it damages, your protein, your ability to gain muscle, lose fat, sleep, and recover. But just to wrap it up, if you're an athlete particularly, so up to 48 hours after drinking, your power output is going to be decreased. Your reaction time is going to be decreased. Your coordination, your muscle, hand-eye coordination is going to be decreased. Of course, with your ability to focus, concentrate, and just be proficient if you're throwing a football. Just be balanced and be coordinated in general. It's ability to lock in on targets and just maintain a peak level of focus. All of that is going to be impacted. Just athletic performance, power coordination, all these things, the things that make you a great and athletic human being are going to be decreased up to 48 hours after drinking alcohol. So if you are an athlete who has a high rocks race on Saturday, or a football game, baseball, or maybe you just want to sprint, I don't know, run up a dang hill, anything that requires athleticism, if you have that to do on a Saturday, you might want to stay away from the Thirsty Thursdays at the club. So you may be wondering, Elijah, this is a video about how to balance the two and how to drink and still, remain in peak physical condition. So you may be wondering, Elijah, why do you still drink, giving all the negative side effects that come with drinking? And for me, the answer is because, look, I value my health and my performance and my aesthetics and just my physical capabilities over everything. Don't get me wrong on that. But every now and again, I want to make a good time a great time. And when I'm with my friends, when I'm with friends, that I want to have a deeper connection with and just have a very just pleasant moment, whether it's drinking football or maybe we're celebrating something fantastic that's happening in our lives, alcohol just loosen things up a little bit, And I get it. There's going to be those ultra disciplined guys that are going to be like, Elijah, you're a fitness guy. Are you supporting alcohol? Are you encouraging people to drink alcohol? And my answer is no, I'm not encouraging you. But I know there's a cohort of people out there that want to know how to have an occasional night of drinking along with maintaining or building a superhero physique. And this is how I do it, right? So yes, I value my health and my performance, my aesthetics, all that over anything. But alcohol just loosens things up a little bit. If you're somebody who gets a little bit of social anxiety, and having a drink or two makes you open up more and allows you to connect with people more freely, by all means, have a drink or two. And I don't really get social anxiety, but it just allows me to be more of myself. Let's just say that. And like I said, it's not this thing where I do that, I'm trying to avoid pain or, make myself feel better by having a drink. It's like, I'm already going to be having a good time, celebrating something. And I just want to make that good time. Or even if I'm not celebrating something, I'm doing something with friends that's lively and uplifting. And we're just trying to just be humans, right? And have a good time. So in that case, I will have a drink. And like I said earlier, I've went through phases where, I've had no alcohol and not looked great. I went through phases where I've drank a lot of alcohol and I did look great. But to be as clear-cut and honest as possible, if you want to be the best possible specimen of human being physically that you can be, optimize everything. Don't drink. Max out your nutrition. Max out your training. Don't do anything that's going to take away. That includes alcohol, because we just discovered that alcohol takes away. It's an absolute negative to anything you're trying to do with your physique. So if you want to be an optimist and be in the best possible physical condition you can possibly be in, don't drink. Cut it out completely. But for most people, you aren't trying to be C-bum. And even C-bum drinks on occasion. So if we're talking about building superhero physiques, Chris Bumstead, the greatest bodybuilder of all time, arguably, still has an occasional drink, at least to my knowledge. Now, if I'm wrong, please correct me, but I'm pretty sure I've heard C-Bum state himself that he has an occasional drink. So we can still become superheroes with alcohol. Now, of course, there's performance enhancers. We won't get into all that, but there's people who look fantastic, myself included. I think I look fantastic. They still have an occasional drink. So for most people, it's about managing your alcohol consumption and drinking mindfully. So we've bashed alcohol quite a bit, but now I want to take a step back. Let's look at all the things that we do when we drink alcohol. Is it just alcohol that causes all of the problems, that makes us gain weight, that makes us almost illiterate to the ability to gain muscle? Is it just alcohol that makes us wake up the next day and feel terrible? Is it just alcohol causing all the problems that we experience with a hangover or just drinking alcohol in general? So when we look at the things that are usually involved with alcohol, you're probably at a bar or a club, or you're doing something that's a lot of people around, you're jumping up, you're doing all type of crazy stuff, and you're sweating, you're getting dehydrated, and you're replacing all of your body's sodium, potassium, all the electrolytes with more alcohol. What do you think this is doing? This is making you more and more dehydrated. And we all know that dehydration is not very good. When we get dehydrated, we typically get a headache. Your body's trying to tell you, drink some freaking water. But when you're out jumping around at the club, you're getting all sweaty, you're losing water, you're losing all the things that make you feel alive, which is water and food and nutrients. You're losing this stuff. You're not replenishing it with water and more electrolytes. So it could be that all the alcohol you're drinking is terrible and it's making you dehydrated, or it could be the fact that you simply just need to drink more water while you're drinking and also have some salt or have some type of electrolyte packet. I like Liquid IV or any type of cheap electrolyte packet, maybe a Gatorade or something, Pedialyte, something like that. And all that dancing that you're doing, what do you think that's doing to your body? Do you think you just because you're not in the gym, you're not breaking down your muscles, you're not damaging or hypertrophying your muscles or your joints and your ligaments and your tendons when you're jumping around? Look, your favorite song comes on and it's a banger, right? You're trying to show everybody your backflips that you just learned, or your breakdance, you're spinning on your freaking head and you're doing cartwheels. And do you think this isn't going to be wearing down your body? Do you think that just because you're not in the gym, and you don't have dumbbells in your hand, that this isn't going to wear down your muscle, break down muscle tissue, and have an effect on your muscles, tendons, and ligaments? Come on, let's be honest here. You are breaking down your muscle. So yeah, the next day when you wake up, you're probably going to be a little bit sore because you've been dancing and jumping around all night. So yeah, it could be because muscle protein synthesis was impacted while you drank, and that very well plays a role in it. But it could also be because you were jumping around like a freaking lunatic all night, and that's why your body hurts everywhere. And what do you do when you leave the club? You're in Taco Bell. Hey man, I'm hungry. You're really not hungry. You're just bored. You want to keep the dopamine flowing into your body. You just left the club. The only thing you can do to possibly keep somewhat of a rise on that dopamine is to do what? Have some delicious, salty, greasy, sweet, and cheesy food. So you go through the Taco Bell line, you got some soft tacos, maybe a big cheesy McGriddle. I don't even know the name. I don't go to Taco Bell. I don't even know what you call their things, but big cheesy gordita crunch. I think that's something that they have at Taco Bell. You also get a large nacho fry with 3 cups of cheese. And now you're drinking an extra large Baja Blast Mountain Dew. All these things together, you just downed 2,000 calories in one meal, bro, not including everything you've already eaten today. So yes, alcohol does slow down your fat loss. Alcohol does reduce protein synthesis, making it harder for your body to build or maintain muscle. So it could be that alcohol itself is making you fat and making it harder for you to build muscle. But it could also be because you just downed 2,000 junk calories that aren't just invisible just because you're drunk. Those 2,000 calories are going to be absorbed into your body. And since you have alcohol present, it's going to be absorbed as primarily fat. It's going to be stored as primarily fat. So yeah, it could be that alcohol itself makes you gain weight. But maybe it's because of the 2,000, 3,000 calorie meal you just downed after a night of drinking. And then what do? You're hammered, you're full of food, your stomach is full to the brim, and now you're going to try to go home and go to bed. And what happens when you eat a huge meal right before bed? It's very hard for you to fall asleep. Now, being drunk typically allows your body to go to sleep, or like makes you feel like you're falling asleep pretty quick because you're just so exhausted and you're already like halfway unconscious. So when you lay in your bed, you may feel like you're asleep. But when your body is trying to digest this fat, huge, high calorie meal and this sugary soda you just drank, your body can't go to sleep when it's trying to digest all this stuff. It's sending your body's energy and blood to your stomach, to your digestive system, instead of to your brain or to wherever else your body needs to flow blood to help you fall asleep. So if your digestive system and your body in general is having to work in overdrive to digest this huge, humongous meal you just downed, your body's gonna have a hard time falling asleep and staying asleep. We've already talked about how important sleep is to the recovery process. I want to tell you how to drink mindfully, how to incorporate a little bit of alcohol into your life, without losing everything you've worked for. And I've already talked about it for the most part. You probably already know exactly what I'm about to tell you, but just to kind of give you somewhat of a protocol here, I want you to limit your alcohol consumption to just once a week, max, right? And you can still build and maintain a freaking fantastic physique, especially if you're in your teens, 20s, and early 30s. You can maintain a fantastic physique if you just drink once per week mindfully. As long as you don't do all the things we talked about in the previous slide, you can still build and maintain a fantastic superhero-like physique if you just drink once a week. For me, I drink like once a month. The way my life is set up right now, there seems like there's a wedding, and also it's football season too. And we're in the South. I'm from Alabama. I'm in Nashville, Tennessee right now, but from Alabama, I will be God as college football, so that's the only thing we have to celebrate in Alabama. But when I drink alcohol, I try to use it as a way to enhance a celebratory moment, not to escape a problem. Right, and this is the key on how you should be drinking, how I think you should look at drinking. If you're drinking to kind of blunt a problem and avoid some pain or avoid some work that you should be doing, you don't need to be drinking alcohol. But there's something to celebrate, something a good time, and all your work is accomplished. You've done everything you need to do. You've checked all the boxes. Go for it. Have a drink as long as your body has earned it. I mean, as long as you have earned it and you've got everything done you're supposed to be doing, you aren't running from something, have a freaking drink. But you should plan it ahead of time. And this kind of goes into getting all your stuff done beforehand. If you plan, there's a big football game this weekend. Your friend's getting married. It's your wife's birthday, and you're gonna have some wine. You're gonna be having some drinks. Plan it ahead of time to make sure you have ample amount of time to get all the things done that you need to get done. So then you can drink and feel like you've earned it. And while you're drinking, try to stay hydrated. After you have a drink, after every drink, I generally try to find some water somewhere. So for every one drink or one shot I have, I'm not a big fan of shots, I'm more of like a beer guy. I like wine sometimes, but typically I'm a beer guy. But after each beer, I try to drink a whole bottle of water. Does that always happen? No, but I try to be very, very consistent on drinking some type of water, whether it's a cup. I try to get some water in me, some fluids in me after every single drink. Not only do I try to drink water and stay hydrated while I'm drinking alcohol, but also before I'm drinking alcohol. So if I know I'm going to have some drinks tonight, I'm going to wake up, I'm going to be hydrating all freaking morning because I know I'm going to increase my risk of being dehydrated later. So I'm going to be drinking water, trying to stay hydrated. Maybe I have some electrolytes, liquid IV, something before all day long leading up to the night of the drinking activities. And then after, I'm going to have more water. Before I go to bed, I'm going to have at least a bottle. If I have, about 2 to 3 hours before I fall asleep, I'm going to be downing water, maybe 32 ounces, about 2 bottles of water. Try to have some water after you drink. And like I said earlier, if you have some type of liquid IV, some type of Gatorade, some electrolytes to replenish all the electrolytes you've lost throughout your crazy night of drinking. And just to be clear, even if you're not dancing, even if you're not doing backflips and cartwheels, when you're drinking in general, you're going to be pissing a lot. And when you piss, you aren't pissing out just water. You're pissing out water and all the electrolytes that are keeping you hydrated. And if you can, please try to avoid the nights at the club where you're jumping around doing crazy stuff. Like, even though I say that I drink occasionally, I don't really go to the club. I can't remember the last time I've been to a club or a club-like atmosphere where I'm jumping around, fist bumping, doing all this crazy stuff. Back in the day when I was in college and in fraternity days, I would do some stuff like that. But nowadays, I really try to drink mindfully. So we're talking about here. So I try to avoid the scenarios where I'm going to be doing crazy stuff and jumping around. Try to drink in more casual settings. I'll go to a bar and have a drink where it's a little bit quieter. Maybe a restaurant, have a drink, a rooftop bar type thing. Just a more casual, more classy way to have a drink. Or football game, sitting in a little stand or something like that. Casual ways of having drinks that don't require me to do all this super high activity movement. So you want to avoid those types of drinking activities if you can. And when you're done drinking for the day or the night, don't go through the freaking drive-through and load up on all this crap. Definitely if you're trying to maintain your physique or build a physique or lose body fat, don't freaking go through the drive-thru and get a triple stacked cheeseburger with a large fry and 4 freaking containers of sweet, barbecue sauce or whatever sauce you like to have. And don't have the large sweet tea. Just avoid the super high calorie junk food. Or when you get home, don't eat an entire box of Twinkies. If you're hungry, have some food prepared and ready to go. This goes back to the planning ahead of time. If you know you're going to be hungry after you're done drinking for the day or the night, have some food ready to go. Have some meals prepped out. And I know after the night of drinking, you're not going to want something that is, kind of somewhat bland, like chicken breast and rice or maybe some type of sweet potato. I know because you've been on a high all night. This food may not taste as good. But if you want to maintain that physique, we got to do the best we can of trying to avoid this junk food, right? So That means having something prepared when you get home, even if it's just like some protein yogurt. Sometimes that for me, it's like some protein yogurt. Maybe I'll add some oats, a little bit of fruit, and maybe I'll have a little bit of honey in there just to get that little sweet craving. And I know that doesn't sound super appetizing, but if you want to stay in shape, if you want to build a solid physique while still having the drinking in play here, you've got to make a sacrifice. And if you want to have a good time and be in shape, you got to sacrifice the freaking enormous amounts of food and sugary drinks, high calorie drinks and Twinkies and stuff like that. Not only because the terrible nutrient quality and the effect that it has on your overall daily calorie intake that's going to make you fat because you're going to be in a ridiculously high calorie surplus, but also because it's going to impact your sleep. If you're filled to the brim and your stomach is out to here because you just eaten so much food, you're going to have trouble falling asleep and staying asleep. We've talked about the effects that this has on your sleep when you already have alcohol in your system. So at the worst, the best thing you can do is try to at least go to sleep faster. And being full to the brim, it's not going to help you fall asleep faster. And when you do drink, don't get freaking plastered, bro. Like, you can drink, have a good time without getting blackout, toxically drunk. Like, just have enough drinks to have a buzz, man. Still, maintain conversations and just feel like you're just flowing, man. You don't want to be drinking so much that you don't know what you did when you wake up the next day. You're like, what did I do yesterday? What happened? If you're drinking that much, bro, you have a problem. So drink until you just loosen up a little bit, have a buzz, you're happy, you're feeling good, and, just the good times are better. Once you start going overboard and you're going past the limit, whatever your limit is, it can be 3 drinks or freaking 20 drinks if you're a freaking animal. I mean, whatever that limit is, don't go past it to where you start slurring your words and then forgetting things. So just know your limit. That's a big piece of this. Just know your limit. Don't go freaking insane and try to do some of the things I just talked about in this throughout this video. And you can there's a way to incorporate this into your life. So to wrap this video up, I want you to ask yourself, why are you drinking? Are you drinking to enhance a good time, to celebrate something, to make a good time better? Or are you drinking to numb some form of pain? Are you drinking to avoid a problem in your life? Are you drinking to avoid a conversation? Are you drinking to forget about this negative situation in your life right now? And if you are the person that's drinking this for the negative reasons, you don't need to be watching this video. You need to go see a mental health professional. You need to see an addiction professional, not me. This video is for people who are trying to somewhat incorporate a lifestyle that involves an occasional night of drinking, along with building and maintaining a superhero physique. So if you have a problem with drinking, you're drinking to avoid problems and numb pain, things of that nature, you need to see a professional. Don't listen to me. But ask yourself, when you are trying to drink, hopefully you aren't craving alcohol. I never crave alcohol, but hopefully you don't just crave alcohol. Hopefully you crave the good times, the meaningful relationships, the connections with people, and maybe that involves alcohol. But if you're craving alcohol, once again, you have a problem and you need to go see a professional of some kind, not me. Now, balance, I try to avoid the word balance because balance typically means, equal opposite forces come together and there's a straight line, there's no tip tops. But balance, the way I see balance when it comes to alcohol and fitness, there is no balance, or at least the balance isn't 50-50. It's not equally, like you're not drinking 3.5 nights a week. And I'm not, staying sober 3.5 nights a week. Like I said, try to limit it to once per week. And even that one night per week, you try to be mindful, not do crazy stuff, not go to these crazy atmospheres and not drink past your limit. And maybe that's once a week. In my case, it's like once or twice a month, depending on the season of life that I'm in. Right now, like I said, it's more like once a month, maybe twice a month. But when I drink, I'm not doing all the crazy stuff that I mentioned before. I'm drinking in moderation, drinking just enough to have a good time and enhance an already good moment. I'm not going freaking haywire and doing all the craziness. Right? So there's no real balance. And to be honest with you, if you want to build the most incredible physique you possibly can, avoid alcohol in all domains. Never, ever, ever drink alcohol. And I encourage you to have seasons where you actually try this out. Have a season of intention where you cut out alcohol for 3 months, 6 months, maybe an entire year. I've actually never done an entire year. I've done like 9, 10 months, but cut out for 6 months. You can see some crazy effects in really as little as just 3 months, but try 6 months if you can. Avoid alcohol for 6 months and lock in on your nutrition and your training and see what your body does. I've done both. Like I said, I've done the crazy drinking a lot and trying to build a physique. And I've also done the thing where I don't drink anything, no alcohol, and built a great physique. So I encourage you to try this thing where you just spend 3 to 6 months worth no alcohol and just see what you can do. See how your body can transform. And there are seasons of life where there may be alcohol more present than other times in your life. For me, alcohol is present more. Like I said, I'm 20, actually I turned 25 years old today, and had a lot of friends in college, fraternity brothers, and different friends that I've met along the course of my life who are all getting married right now. It's that age where people are getting married. So I'm going to probably 4 or 5 weddings a year with all different types of engagement celebrations and birthdays. And I guess that's the downside of having, lots of people who I guess you can call friends or associates of some kind. There's a lot of things to celebrate, So a lot of things are just saying no. Some of these things I have to say no to. I'd be drinking every single day or at least every single weekend. I'm getting off topic, but try no drinking alcohol. Just see what your body can do. And keep in mind that there are seasons where it's okay to have more alcohol. It's okay to drink, for certain celebrations. You shouldn't feel like the worst person ever because of the people on social media who, by all means, they are leaders and they have good advice and they are telling you, they are being correct, If you want to be the most disciplined, the most lean, the most shredded, the most physically capable person you could possibly be, that would exclude alcohol. You shouldn't have that in place. But as we've discovered, there are people who, like I said, look like freaking superheroes and they still have an occasional drink. It's just about being thoughtful about how you're going about drinking. Now, finally, last thing I'm going to say is that you can have a social life that does not involve alcohol. And this is what all these people, your David Goggins, your Jocko Willinks, some more people I can't really think about that. I would say Alex Hormozi, but in the business world, you have Alex Hormozi, but he drinks. He's been very open. He drinks and he still looks freaking incredible. And he's one of the most successful businessmen of this 2000 era. Or this 2000 century, this generation, my generation at least. So anyways, it's not required. Drinking is not required to have an uplifting and enjoyable social life. You don't need it, But for me, I like to include it every now and again for specific situations and special occasions. So I do hope this video was helpful for you. I hope it helped you gain some insight, gave some clarity over, can you drink? Can you not? Are you a terrible person if you have a drink every now and again? Can you actually call yourself somebody who optimizes for fitness and performance and, prioritizes your health overall and still have a drink? Hopefully you've gotten a better idea about, what's good, what's bad, what's possible, what's not. And hopefully you aren't somebody that feels bad because of all the pressure to be this hyper disciplined person who never ever drinks. I care about my social interactions almost as equal as much as my performance and my physical health. And hopefully after you've watched this video, you've learned how you can combine the two in some sense. It's not an equal balance. The scale is going to be tipped higher towards the priorities of your health and fitness goals if you want to look fantastic. But there is a slither of room there for your fun social activities that involve alcohol. Now look, I appreciate you watching. Like I said, I hope you got a ton of value out of this video. And if you did, please click that subscribe button. I'm going to leave some stuff in the description of this video, some resources to help you build and maintain a fantastic physique. I'm not sure if I'm going to put this in there yet, but I'm going to have a program down there, maybe a 3-month program that you can just buy if you want to support, just to help you get more jacked, more lean, and just feel like a freaking animal. So click on that if you want it. If not, like I said, hit that subscribe button, hit like. That helps me out a ton, and I hope you come back to the next video. Let's go.